All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheila Blanco, Public Information Manager for Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. And I want to thank you for coming out today. This is kind of the end of our first quarter updates on a number of things, including recent SAT results, graduation rate, attendance, school climate, and also we will have an update on an overview that we announced, I believe, at the end of last school year, looking at procedures and processes in our campus police and HR departments. First person up to speak today to give you an overview of what we're talking about is our superintendent, Dr. Denise Watts.
Good morning, and good morning to our media partners and anyone who is tuning in today. Your continued interest and investment in our school district is truly appreciated. And as stated, we are here today to share with you some important updates of the district now that we are a quarter of the way through the school year, specifically 48 days. And guess what? No weather-related events, which is quite different from last year. Today, we have staff on hand to offer some additional updates again to the graduation rate, SAT performance, and attendance. And we'll also provide an overview of our work to continue in operational effectiveness as it relates to our campus police department and our HR departments. So excited to provide you some updates. One really quick update on enrollment as that begins to settle after the first quarter of the school year, totaling about 35,098 students, and I believe that was as of yesterday. That includes grades pre-K through 12. Again, we are proud and honored to be able to serve 35,098 students this year who have completed the first quarter of the school year. Just a few things that I want to highlight that I'm proud of this school year. The transition to free meals continues to be commendable and exciting for our students. Now that we are under the community eligibility program, students have certainly taken advantage of the program. We continue to hear really positive things, and our meal participation rates continue to climb. One of the highlights this year that many of you may be aware of was our Low Country Boil, and we will have many other opportunities to showcase exciting meals for our students as the school year continues. I want to make you aware that between October 13th and 17th, that's next week, we will have our National School Lunch Week, and it has a theme of Taste the World, Your School Lunch Passport. So you can infer that we'll be having lots of great food to taste from around our beautiful world. Our adjustments to the school uniform policy and attendance policy commenced this year on August 4th with the opening day of school. And as expected, these are changes for our families and for our schools. And we've had to continue to review and reinforce reminders and provide clarity in both areas around uniforms and attendance. But I'm happy to say that changes are settling into normal operations. School attendance, as you all know, remains a focus for our school districts. We are continuously working with our families and our schools to ensure that our new attendance policy is put in place and our parents understand what that means for them and their students. You're going to hear just a little bit more about our attendance stats in just a few moments. But I am really proud of our entire district teams, school level teams who are embracing our new attendance policies. I'm really proud of our parents and our students who are recognizing that attendance truly matters. Being at school, showing up matters in many ways beyond the academics, but also socially. I want to take just a moment to thank our student affairs team who had their first attendance sweep just a couple of weeks ago. It was the first one of the school year, and we were able to visit 167 families during that attendance sweep. The work of this team is a valued resource. We had our mayor come out to join us in encouraging our families to come to school, and that attendance matters. Of the visits that we conducted, illness of the student or the parent remains the most significant reason that we find students are not coming to school. I'm also excited this morning to talk about our third year of the Positive Peer Influencers program, which kicked off with nearly 300 students participating in the program. This is an exciting initiative with the Mediation Center and the Chatham County Narcotics. And as many of you know, it helps really train and give our high school students leadership opportunities to mentor and support our middle school students to give positive peer guidance, which is empowering our middle schoolers to make healthy decisions and to avoid negative behaviors. This program has grown significantly from 60 students in year one. We also just completed our annual Literacy Week, which was an exciting week for the school district with both school and district activities and also activities in the community. This work continues to be a highlight of our commitment to literacy, which is the North Star, and it celebrates also our community support that we continue to see. The work that we're doing in our schools continues to be grounded in the science of reading. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to our teachers, staff, and our district literacy teams who work in this critical area, and a special thanks also to our community partners. This work around literacy continues to demonstrate together we can in so many ways, and together we will truly improve the literacy rates of our students in the district. Parent University also recently held a Saturday session highlighting some topics around literacy, among others, and it had a great turnout. Again, one of the sessions provided literacy tips for parents. We also just completed Pre-K week here in Georgia, which gave us an opportunity here in our school district to highlight the importance of childhood education. Just as a great stat for everyone to know, we have 66 Georgia lottery-funded pre-K classes that serves over 1,400 students in our school districts, and we're looking to continue to expand that, given the importance of pre-K education in our school district. We are also very excited to announce a new communication tool, a new way for our parents and community to stay plugged in to all the great things happening in our district. Please make sure you are on the lookout for our new podcast called Beyond the Bell. Our communications department has worked very hard to launch this new podcast. We already have 3 to 4 episodes available, so we encourage our community and families to partake and give it a listen on a car drive or at night or whenever it's convenient for you, so that you can get the scoop, the inside scoop on programs, outreach, mental health, music, nutrition, athletics, careers, and many, many more important topics. All the things that help our school district shine and to give our families important information so that they can engage appropriately. You can find our podcast, SCCPSS After the Bell, on your favorite podcast platform. Some important areas that we know we will need to continue to give our attention as we think about the upcoming rest of the school year. We are working to adjust the district's cell phone policy. We want that policy to be aligned to recent state-level legislative changes. We have an adoption deadline of January 1 and a anticipated full implementation next school year. Of course, there'll be a complete rollout to our families so that they understand the implications and what it means for their students. We will continue to dig deep into key literacy strategies in our district as we continue to follow the direction of our North Star. Excited to announce the work that we're doing to offer high-dose tutoring as a pilot with our Ignite Reading program. So that program has started, and we'll continue to dig in, learn from that pilot, and replicate it as needed across the district. We will be, over the next 2 months, doing a deeper dive into school capacity and our attendance zones. We'll soon be rolling out an engagement and information plan so that we can inform families of any upcoming boundary changes or changes at the school level. Let me reiterate, there are no changes happening this school year. These are all future-facing, many of which may be a year or two out, but we want to get started early with informing our families. If you joined in or had an opportunity to listen in on our most recent school board retreat, during that retreat, we did a review using a third party to support us in looking deeper into our financial practices and forecasting. It is very important to the school district, myself in particular as the leader of the school district, to continue to be a steward of our resources in the school district, and I hold that as a high priority. We are working to implement many of the recommendations that came out of that report to strengthen financial management and to better position us for strategic decision makings, the future, and also return on investment. This year, we have also kicked off grading practices as a work of opportunity across the district. This is going to be multifaceted. It will include significant engagement with teachers and with families and even our students to give input on what grading should look like. The work here aims to have consistency as we work to measure student learning from classroom to classroom and school to school. So it will be important for people to tune in to opportunities as they roll out to give input on grading practices. I have said quite a bit. I will be hanging out and will be returning to the podium momentarily to answer questions and to hand off some additional information. But at this point in time, I want to give us an opportunity to dig into some data, some stats. And with that, I'll be inviting Dr. Laura May up to the podium as she will give us some insight into our district SAT performance.
Good morning. I am pleased to report on the district's class of 2025 Scholastic Aptitude Test performance. We were delighted to score at a mean of 1,006 for the graduating class of 2025. Please keep in mind that our reporting is consistent with the reporting of the Georgia Department of Education, meaning that our reporting reflects only public school student performance. Our class of 2025 had a 16-point gain over the class of 2024. And we performed when compared to the nation very favorably, outperforming by 10 points. We did fall below Georgia's mean. However, 53% of our class of 2025 participated in the SAT at some point during their high school attendance. And we had, school level SAT performance range from a mean score of 1169 at Savannah Arts Academy to a mean score of 878 at Windsor Forest High School. Thank you very much.
All righty, great morning. And I want to continue to celebrate the work and the progress that's taking place. And thank you, Dr. May, for outlining some of the data of our readiness indicator, one of our readiness indicators in the SAT results. But I do want to emphasize that really showing up to school is the first step to success. So I want to back up just a brief moment to kind of capture some important data as well relative to attendance. And we know that when our students show up prepared and knowing that our teachers and our staff are prepared to receive them, that really sets in motion the pathway to graduation, and we'll share some of those data points with you as well this morning that leads to the opportunities that our students have to transition to college as well as the career opportunities. And so I want to quickly share with you some of the attendance highlights. And last year, we saw progress in our attendance rates, more of our students showing up to school, and so I'll capture it in a very general way. But more specifically, we saw trends continue to move in the right direction with our key performance indicator of percentage of students less than 10% of, and let me capture it a different way for you. More of our students showing up to school 90% of enrolled days, right? And I think that's a great way to help our community understand how important it is and how we're really tracking our data. As of the first quarter, we reached about 80% of our students attending more than 90% of enrolled school days. That really reflects a continued increase. Last year, we ended with 77% of our students enrolled or attending school 90% of the enrolled school days. And so this reflects some really early progress and trends in the right direction. Our elementary schools, as you might imagine, continue to lead the way at the end of our first quarter, and our middle school students are continuing to also show strong gains. Our high schools continue to be our area of focus, and so we continue to prioritize support there in many different ways. You heard our superintendent talk about the work that was done last year to really strengthen our foundation and our systems through policy and regulation. But I also want to underscore the importance of what it means to continue to create spaces in schools where students desire to show up. And so connection with our families continues to be an important piece, as evident in one of our strategies that happens quite regularly. We shared the attendance sweep that happens quarterly, but those kind of strategies are happening and supports are happening quite frequently for our schools. I like to say that our approach is, and the impact is really a triple effect. It's the attendance accountability, right? And I think that was one of the pieces that we want to really emphasize to our families, how important attendance matters and showing up to school each and every day. And the other piece is our attendance remote learning option. Just want to provide clarity to our community and our families that those are opportunities and options for our families to participate on a short-term absent sort of notice while keeping students connected to the learning. And parents can request up to 5 of those asynchronous remote learning opportunities for the year. So this is not something that is per marking period or per semester. This is for the entire year. So I want to emphasize that. But we early data suggests that some of our families are beginning to be aware and take advantage of that, and we'll continue to do some communication around that so parents are aware. The other piece that we're really monitoring as part of the accountability and that triple effects is the attendance recovery component that is new to our attendance policy and regulation. For those students who miss days, we've built in a requirement in many ways for them to recover the learning. This is not punitive in any way, and so want to make sure that our families and our community understand that, but it's an opportunity to convert those absent days into days present by participating in some recovery learning opportunities available at schools, and that looks a couple different ways. And so just want to re-emphasize the importance of that opportunity and that requirement. And families can recover up to 5 of those days per semester. And so I want to emphasize asynchronous remote learning is 5 days for the year, and the attendance recovery is 5 days per semester. But again, this is kind of our approach, and this really is about partnership with our families. I do want to go back very quickly to talk about the attendance accountability and how important it is for us to connect with our families. We are launching this month a pilot at several of our schools as a way to help nudge, support, and partner with our families. And really, it's an opportunity to have some two-way communication and to continue to help them remove barriers to attendance. And so that's part of the work that our student affairs and our schools are doing to ensure that we remove those barriers so that students are showing up to school each and every day. And the collective efforts of many of these strategies really is showing some early progress with our attendance data. And so I really wanted to capture the essence of all of the things that we're doing to support families and students, but also to hold them accountable, because attendance matters. And we know that, again, as I shared, that is the pathway to graduation. And I think that's a great opportunity to segue to what is a culminating measure in our district. And I say culminating because this is not a single event. And although we celebrate the progress of this year's graduation rate, a slight increase from last year to 87.2, which matches the state average. And again, a slight increase from last year's graduation data. What's really impressive, or what we're very pleased with, is that 2/3 of our high schools either improved or maintained their graduation rate, and always want to acknowledge in many ways our schools that have that 100% graduation rate. Woodville Tompkins High School, Early College, and this year joining that group again is Savannah Arts Academy. So I want to celebrate those schools. Beach High School, I'm not sure if it's captured here on our screen here, but Beach High School being one of those schools that had a double-digit gain of more than 10 points. So great work happening across all of our schools, and wanted to highlight those schools particularly. But I also think it's important to note that we're closing gaps as well with many of our student groups, and that really reflects the intentional work that's happening very early. We often talk about graduation rate being high school, but I do want to connect that back to attendance. Again, students showing up to school, and we saw increase of our students showing up to school at high school. We continue to prioritize literacy in our district and how important that is very early on. But I do want to acknowledge the work that's happening at our high schools and how intentional our schools are supporting our 9th grade students during that transition year with the development of those individual graduation plans, the counseling career readiness supports that are being provided, our counselors, our teacher advisors serving as really navigators every step of the way for them through high school. And we want to continue to lift that up. I do want to make sure I note that for some of our students, and I say this quite often, who veer off course and not on track, there are supports available for those students. And so want to attribute the work of our academic interventions and services and our teams, opportunities through our non-traditional learning experiences for students to recover some credits and recover their learning is part of the work that happens to ensure that all students have an opportunity to walk across that stage and have choice-filled lives and opportunities. So wanted to celebrate the progress that's being made. There is certainly a lot of work that we continue to do and that we need to continue to do to ensure that each and every single student in our school district is showing up to school so that they have opportunities to walk across that stage and to be able to transition to college careers and other opportunities. So with that, I will yield the floor back to our superintendent for any additional comments, and we'll be available for questions.
Mr. Butler, for that update. I think it is no secret that since I have arrived here as the superintendent, the importance I have placed on transparency and the courage to hold up a mirror and look at ourselves in our school district. And over the last few years, I've provided opportunities for several of our departments and areas to do just that, hold up that mirror and look at ourselves. And today, you're going to hear a little bit more about one of those most recent reports. And that is a report from our Human Resources Division and Campus Police Department, in which we had a third party come in and take a deep dive look to determine what were areas in which we could improve. I want to express my appreciation for the commitment of our HR department as well as our Campus Police Department for their willingness and courage to lean into the report, to use it as a compass in how they might improve moving forward. I have and I will continue to review internal controls in our districts and procedures for our departments. This, of course, has included our Campus Police Department and Human Resources Department, but I've done this across several other departments and had an opportunity to have these commission reports be a GPS for us to guide us towards improvement. We recently completed this external review of our Campus Police Department and Human Resources Department. These two areas and how they work together are very important and yet very complex at the same time. We are very lucky to have a full police agency on as a part of our school district, offering us many benefits. But again, how they interact with other departments, to include human resources, can sometimes be complex. And so this third-party review really gave us an opportunity to look under the hood and better understand how we were working together and how we might move forward. So with that said, I'd like to invite Chief Enoch from our Campus Police Department up to the podium to give you some insight into his learning and how he plans to move the department forward. And right after him, our Human Resources Department will come up and share their plan for how they will advance the findings from the report. With that said, Chief Enoch.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Watts. The Savannah Chatham County Public School Board of Education Police Department, we recently completed a comprehensive audit. It was done with the support of our superintendent, Dr. Denise Watts, and the full support of me, Chief Terry Enoch, and also Chief of Human Resources, Ramon Ray. This independent assessment was designed to review department operations, accountability systems, our organizational structure, to ensure that the BOE-PD continues to meet the high standards of service, transparency, and professionalism. You know, over the past decade, the BOE-PD has experienced exponential growth, expanding in staff, safety responsibilities, resources, facilities, and the number of schools that we protect. This department now provides law enforcement coverage across more than 426 square miles and within 7 municipalities in Chatham County. You know, we're the third largest police department with sworn personnel, serving a student population of over 36,000 students and approximately 5,600 employees. As our district has grown, so too has the complexity and scale of our safety mission. This audit provided an important opportunity to right-size the department, aligning our people, processes, and leadership structure to meet the needs of a modern and expanding school district. It confirmed areas of strength. It also identified opportunities for improvement, including internal affairs procedures, coordination with human resources, evidence management, and the organizational accountability. With the superintendent's full support, we have already begun implementing meaningful changes, such as establishing clear internal affairs protocols and defined timelines and accountability measures. We're strengthening collaboration with our district's human resources to ensure consistency and transparency in hiring, promotions, and disciplinary processes. We're updating organizational structure and supervisory practices to improve communication, accountability, and efficiency. We're enhancing evidence management systems through regular inspections and annual audits. We're launching a leadership development and engagement initiative to promote fairness, morale, and professionalism. I have to tell you that our officers and staff have shown exceptional commitment to our mission. And this process represents the same dedication to growth and continuous improvement. You know, the findings were not about fault. They were about focus, ensuring that BOEPD remains a model of school-based policing and community trust. As we move forward, our goal remains clear: to provide a safe and secure and supporting learning environment for every student, staff member in the Savannah and Chatham County Public School System. These improvements will make us stronger, more transparent, and even more effective in serving our schools and our communities. Thank you.
Morning. Our Human Resources team is dedicated to supporting our campus police department as a valued partner in keeping our schools and our work sites safe. This review has provided us the opportunity to clarify and strengthen our functional work between all of our divisions, and this is important for our campus police department, who's acting as a safety and security measure within our public school system. So we are putting processes in place, as Chief Enoch has said. We've already begun working and collaborating on strengthening our recruitment and making sure that all of our processes are fair across the board. And so we will continue those collaborations in making sure that we work together as a team to provide the services that are needed for our district. Thank you.
All right, I believe the superintendent's going to come up and say a few more words, and we are open to questions at that point. We have staff here from each of the departments that we have discussed today, and they are willing to offer any insight, further detail that you may need. Dr. Watts?
Today has been full of many important updates. I'm sure you have questions, so for the remainder of our time together, I'd like to yield to you to provide any clarity that you need, as our community needs as well. So with that said, are there questions?
Hi, Dr. Watts. My question is, what specific strides are being made on literacy that's been a focal point for you ever since you've come here? What improvements have been seen, or have there been any measurable improvements in the first quarter of the school year?
So the first quarter of the school year, 48 days in, I would say there are not a lot of quantitative measures. But as you know and our community knows, one of the first things implemented was to ensure that our teachers all receive science of reading training. In addition to that, we adopted a new curriculum that aligned with the science of reading. And what I've really been most proud of, while it may not show up necessarily in our data, is how our teachers have fully embraced their training and the implementation of the new curriculum. There's definitely real noticeable changes in how our students are learning as it relates to literacy, and teachers can account for what they are seeing in the classroom, and what they're seeing is our younger students beginning to show up in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade with higher reading readiness, literacy readiness. I think that's best illustrated through our AMERA data, which does demonstrate improvement. That's our K2 grade levels, which does, at the end of last year, did show some significant gains, or when you're thinking about that data, really what it reflects is the number of students who have significant reading challenges, and what we're seeing is that number is beginning to decrease. So that is exciting. It is a precursor to what we hope to see in grades 3 and beyond. So I continue to remain extremely optimistic about what's happening in our classrooms. Our teachers have taken on a very significant lift when you think about a very robust professional development and the implementation of a new curriculum. And this year, by the way, we are adopting new state standards in literacy. So it has the trifecta challenge of doing all 3 of those things, and they're just doing it remarkably well.
Hi, Dr. Watts. Just a question. You guys mentioned a bit earlier that the attendance rates in the elementary schools has been really great and that you're working towards upping those rates in high schools. But are there any schools that necessarily stood out positively and some schools that maybe you guys are working towards fixing that attendance rate over there?
Sure, and I would not be able to call those off the top of my head. I don't know if Mr. Butler would have that data available. Certainly, we are looking at the data, most recently as of Monday, our cabinet team was diving into the data. We do have schools that are standing out. We still have schools that need to improve. What I am most proud of, though, is the willingness of our entire district to embrace what is needed in terms of attendance. You heard a lot of things that we're doing today, but I would like to put emphasis on just the importance of our school, every teacher, every classroom, providing a sense of belonging and engagement for our students, which we know when students have a sense of belonging, when they feel learning is relevant and exciting, when those extracurricular opportunities are available, they're more likely willing to show up. And we are beginning to see that across our schools, particularly you got to see the elementary data continues to be on the rise, but every department is chipping in. On Monday, we noticed that attendance tends to be down a little bit on Mondays and Fridays. Our chief operations officer quickly jumped in and said, well, what if we started doing something more exciting around meals on Mondays and Fridays, similar to the Low Country Boil. Within 24 hours, our student nutrition program team had committed to doing some special things on Mondays and Fridays to get students excited about coming to school and participating in that exciting lunch, but most importantly in school. So I think I use that as an illustration to really highlight how it's all hands on deck. This is not just a schools thing, it's a district thing. We know that attendance matters, and when kids show up, they have those choice-filled lives.
Going off attendance, just a clarity question first. The 77% year-to-date, that's through the end of September?
That was at the closing of last school year.
Closing
so that
last
was a
year.
closing of
Okay.
school last year.
But as of October 3rd, the number's 80%. Coming back to the third-party review, who conducted the review for the HR and police department?
Yes, so 2 individuals, Mr. Louis Dekmar, who has over 41 years of experience in law enforcement across different organizations, agencies. He's worked as a police chief, he's worked with schools, he's worked with different entities across the state and across the nation. And he was joined by Mr. Steve Heaton, who also has experience in policing as well as human resources practices. So those 2 individuals led that. But it was really a joint effort because they interviewed many people across our school district, including audit, HR, campus police. So all of that information fed into what they learned.
And is the report going to be released to the public? Is it coming up in board meeting discussions or?
So we have an executive summary that is available if desired.
What does the report mean for any ongoing investigations? Are there changes that are happening right at this moment as something that's underway, or is this moving forward with newer investigations? That might crop up?
Essentially, as soon as we receive the report and even some early indication that Mr. Dekmar and Mr. Heaton were able to give us as the report was coming to a close, changes started happening immediately. We really wanted to dig into what was coming out in terms of their findings, and Chief Enoch and his team, as well as our human resources team, they began making adjustments in the moment. So yes, those opportunities started even before the formal report was produced.
And do you happen to know how many active internal investigations are underway, particularly related to the Board of Ed Police Department?
I do not know that number off the top of my head.
That's all my questions for now. Thank you.
A lot of the things that you talked about and the measures that you guys are taking, the attendance sweeps, the food from around the world weeks, free lunches for students, I imagine those things come with a price tag. How do you see, if House Bill 782 is passed by voters here in a couple of weeks, it affecting these measures that y'all are taking to do the things that you're trying to do?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So obviously, the finances of the district are extremely important to us as well as the taxpayers. We're taking a stronger look at return on investment and which programs are actually getting us the results that we want. We really are unsure about how that House bill will impact us. I think what we are trying to do and how I'm trying to position us as a district is knowing that the future of the school district, the next 3 to 5 years, there will be significant impacts not only related to House bill, that House bill in particular, but we do have a declining enrollment. There are unknown federal shifts that we have to prepare for. The cost of goods and services and materials continues to rise. So as I mentioned in our Finance Committee meeting earlier this week, we have kind of this perfect storm brewing. And while we have benefited from having the resources we need, there is an unforeseen yet predictable future ahead of us where those resources may not be as readily available. So we are all taking a deep dive. Every expenditure moving forward will be scrutinized. This year we will be taking another iteration at a zero-based budgeting process so that we are making sure that every expenditure is justified in need and not just a carryover from the previous year. So we as a district as a whole, we are really tightening our belts, tightening our processes and procedures so that we can fully understand, not just at the end of the year what's happening with our finances, but what's happening month to month. And this requires, quite frankly, not just leadership within our finance department. It requires leadership across our district. It impacts every single leader that is making a funding decision in our school district. And there will be increased accountability as it relates to how we are using our finances so that we can continue to do the things that you have mentioned that we know are getting a return on investment.
How is the district working with families who may be afraid to send their kids to school due to heightened immigration enforcement?
Yes, again, attributing a lot of work that's happening at the school level with teachers, things as simple as picking up the phone and making that phone call to say, we haven't seen your child in a couple of days. We just want to check in to see if everything is okay. Of course, you heard earlier about our Students Affairs Department, knocking on doors and having those knee-to-knee conversations. We don't see as punitive. We don't see that as a I gotcha. We see it as an opportunity to really learn what the barriers are that our families may be experiencing so that we can adjust and provide resources and support needed. So it's happening both at a very granular level at the classroom and at the district level. I would be remiss if I didn't mention many of our community partners, our elected officials, all who are kind of getting out and spreading the word about the importance of attendance. And we want to make sure that every family feels comfortable. I also want to open the door and extend that invitation. If there are barriers and maybe one of these means has not reached your doorstep or your telephone, pick up the phone and call us and let us know what those challenges are so that we can step in and intervene and make a way for students to get to school each day.
I have one last thing. Look, we know that school districts, public officials, they get a lot of criticism, but there are a lot of unprecedented things happening right now in the world and the country: immigration enforcement, lack of federal funding, escalating school violence. What would you say to the community about the position that y'all as a district are in, and just how does it differ to make these efforts than it would have 10 years ago, 20 years ago? How have things changed as an educator?
Sure, and I appreciate you mentioning just the volatility, the complexity of everything happening around us. Schools are a microcosm of society, a microcosm of the community. What we see a lot of times happening across the country and in our own community is reflected in our school district. And as a school district, I'm extremely proud of the resilience, the ability and willingness to stand in the face of adversity and uncertainty in many times, because kids are our primary focus. And while all of these things can be whirlwinding around us, we know that when those students walk in the door, they may not really understand all the complexities, nor should they, right? So as adults, we are all standing hand in hand, knee to knee, constantly trying to figure out what is the best ways we can provide the education that we can for our students, so that as they transition out into the world, they can make the world around us less volatile and less complex, and more of a place that acknowledges and appreciates the well-being of each and every person. So yes, we are in the midst of it. I would not deny that. Things are extremely busy, things are extremely complex and sometimes unstable. But what I will say is that there is 100% commitment in doing what's best for kids, and that's what I see showing up from the adults in our schools each day.
Anybody have any other questions?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Watts. Thank you all for coming today. We hope we provided you some valuable information, and we'll see you next time.